Hello and welcome. In this part of the video, we are going to create a Python class. To create a class, you type in the keyword class, you do a space followed by the name you want to call the class. I'm going to call this class app. And when you create a class, you can also pass in parameters in between the parentheses. So I'm going to pass in TK, which is the TK module on line number 2. So from that module, I want to use TK. TK is basically what enables you to create the application window. You also have to add a colon when you create the class and press enter to indent the code. Python is an object-oriented programming language, so almost everything in Python is an object, which has properties and methods. The methods are also functions. So a class is like a template that you use to construct an object. You can also look at it as a blueprint for creating objects. Python has a built-in function which is called __init __. So to define a function within a class, you type in def space, and the name of this built-in function is called __init __, and then you add the parentheses. You also add the colon, press enter to indent. And this can also take in parameters. Now this function __init __, is a built-in function in Python that is automatically activated or called every time you use the class to create a new object. Another thing we want to do is pass in some parameters inside this function. So in between the parentheses, I'm going to specify several parameters. I'll specify self. Self basically is a special variable that represents the instance of the object itself. So if you want an object to persist throughout the class, you use the self next to that. That will enable you to access the instance of it from anywhere within the class. So I'll do a comma. The next parameter I want to add is a variable called image_files. I have not created this variable yet. I will create it later. Comma, I'm going to create a variable x, comma, and a variable y, comma, and also a variable called delay. So all these are variables that I'm specifying inside this init method. I have not created them yet, but we'll create them later. The next thing I want to do, I want to use TK to create a window or a label that is adjustable to the size of the image that is going to be displayed in the slideshow. So to do that, I reference TK. I do TK, which is tkinter.tk. So what this is saying, from the tkinter module, because I use TK to represent as an alias, I'm going to use the TK interface. The TK interface basically is what is used to create the window for your application. So I'm going to do dot, and I'll do __init, which is that init function again, and then __, and I'll pass in the self variable. Next thing I want to do, I want to specify how the image is going to be presented inside the application window. You do that using the geometry method. The geometry method is basically a method within tkinter that enables you to arrange elements inside the application window. So to do that, I'll do self.geometry, and then inside the geometry method, normally with the geometry method, you can set the width and the height of how you want things to be positioned. Now, because I'm going to be displaying images, I'm just going to let the images resize themselves in the application window. So to do that, I'm just going to enclose quotes here. Inside the quotes, I will do a plus, and then I'll do my curly brace, and I'll do another plus and another curly brace. So what basically this is saying, because I've not specified a height and a width, I'm just using the properties, whatever size the image has, the width, I'm adding that to the height of the image. Next thing I want to do is format the size. So to do that, I'll do format, and for that format method, I'll pass in a variable x and a variable y. So whatever value is being declared for variable x and y, that will be used to format the image that's been displayed inside the application window. Next thing I want to do is create a variable called self.delay. Now, this variable, I'm going to set it to equals to delay. Notice on line 5 here, when I created this, added this init function, I specified a variable called delay. I've not created this variable yet, and I've not given it a value, but I will do that later. What this delay is going to be, I'm going to set a value which is going to be the time that it will take, the intervals between each image being displayed on the slide show. Next thing I want to do is add another variable. So I'm going to call this self.pictures. By adding self next to it, it enables me to access the values of the variable from anywhere within this class. So I'm going to set the value to cycle. Remember, I imported cycle on line number 1. So I'll do cycle, and inside that cycle functions, I'm going to pass in some parameters. I'm going to use the class. There is a photo image class from the tkinter module. So to reference that, I do tk dot is called photo image. So I'm going to use this class, and what that does, basically, it is used to display images, either grayscale images or color images. So we have to give this function, this class, photo image class, I need to pass in some variables. So I'm going to pass in a variable called file, which is going to represent the file maybe that contains the image, and I'll say equals to the image, and I'm going to do a comma and add another variable called image. I need to add another parenthesis after that cycle there, and then add a closing parenthesis there. Before I close this parenthesis here, I just need to tab down. I need to add a for loop that's going to be used to loop through the images. So to do that, I'll say for image, which is this variable called image. So I'll say for image in image underscore files. I declare this variable here, but I have not created it. So I will create this variable later. This variable called image underscore files is declared on line number 5. So I'm saying for this variable called image, for the image in this file called image underscore file, this is going to be a list that will contain the images I want displayed in the slideshow. All right, so for each of that image, it will retrieve image from the image list and display. That's what that for loop is saying. The next thing I want to do is create another variable. Again, I'm going to use the self parameter. I'll do self dot, I'm going to call it self dot pictures underscore display, and I'm going to set this to equals to tk, which is tkinter dot label. All right, so basically what that's doing is going to access the label widget from the tkinter module. I'm going to create another variable. I'll call it self again, self dot, and I'm going to call it picture underscore display dot pack. This is going to be a method. Now this dot pack is a method within the tkinter geometric model. What this does basically, it packs, it's responsible for packing the individual image that's been displayed inside the slideshow window. I'm going to end this part of the video here. We'll continue in the next part where we are going to add more functions to this class. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.